So, welcome to our session. Don't be scared with hybrid. They are only tables. Welcome, and we are very happy to be here in SQL Beats this
It's our
year.
first time
Yes, it's our first time.
as speaker, okay?
As speaker. Thank you. So, you can scan the feedback, but we will share again the QR code by the end of the session. So, my name is Bruno, and
I'm Maria.
We work at DevScope, a Portuguese company that develops products related to Power BI. We help customers in the BI, AI, and other tools to develop their projects. We won't spend a lot of time selling not the company and not us.
Yeah, but we have a stand out upstairs.
Yes.
So if you want to connect and
talk a little more with us and see what we do, please, you are very welcome. Go there and spend a little time with us. So, our session will focus what are hybrid tables in Power BI, when does it make sense. We will have two different approaches, a demo with all we can mix, everything that Power BI allow us to have in a hybrid table, and a second approach, fast now, fast for newest data, but slower for the historical data. And we will see these two approaches. And we will end wrapping up with considerations and limitations. So what are hybrid tables in Power BI? Like the theme of the event, they are a mix between a dragon and a phoenix. They are two parts of a different concepts. The dragon in here is more related to consistent data that will not change, and the phoenix like a concept that will reinvent itself or is changing all the time. But
it's nothing to be scared about. Hybrid tables are only tables.
So we will see how to work with them. Before going in detail about the hybrid tables, and because they need these concepts to be remembered, Power BI works with two table storage modes. So we had tables that could be in imported mode and direct to query mode. And they work for different approaches. So import will have data there available very fast. We can make complex calculations in DAX to get our measures, our values, and works in memory. So the data is really in the model. Direct query is the opposite. We have a semantic model, we have only the structure for what we need, but the data is not there. Anytime we need to show a portion of the data in a visual, we will need to get that data from the source and display it in visual. So if we have a lot of users seeing the same thing, even having some cache, the queries will go to the source and grab that data. So we need to balance these two approaches. When we use import, when we use direct query, we need to decide between them. Or we had to decide between them when one table could have import or one table could have direct query. And to help with this question and to help with this decision came the concept of hybrid tables. Hybrid tables comes to let us not to be blocked to a decision to have one table in import or one table in direct query. So what is real the hybrid tables? Do you want to talk a little bit?
Yes, the hybrid tables will mix these two concepts, and in one single table we have historical data in import mode, and we have as well some partitions that we can have in incremental refresh, meaning that we have several partitions that we will refresh in a daily basis, for example, and the last partition is not stored the information, but we have this in direct query.
Okay, so we will have the data in memory that will be fast, we will get calculations on top of that, and we will have some portion of the data that we know that will change, and we will grab it as we need the newest data. One thing, as we did not build a fancy new image, we did not spend time to do it because this is the image well known for incremental, for hybrid tables. and is the one that we like most because it's self-explanatory. You can see a lot of in green partitions with historical saying that they are imported. We can see the yellow ones that they are also imported, but they are incremental because they will change every time we refresh the model. And we can see that we have several of the imported ones, but only one line in the red query. That is not only the image, is we only can have one partition direct query in hybrid. Okay. We can have several imports, but only one in direct query. And that is very important to know that. So our two demonstrations are two different approaches. One is by default, the one that the image was showing. We have import several partitions, and we have the newest data in real time or near real time, the direct query approach. And that is the default one, the way that is using the configuration of incremental refresh as the base that came before the hybrid, the approach with direct query at the same time as the incremental. The other one is the opposite way. We can have data that users want to get and analyze maybe twice a year because they need to go 7 years ago, but is only when they are requested to. So we can have the option in the model to get that data, but we know that if they click the button, they will take a coffee and then they will get the data is okay for them because they don't need that data every day and to every click. So that data for the second demo is direct query. They will wait for it. It will be slower, but it's there. It's available for them. But they want in daily, so maybe more than once a day, go there, click in the report and see what is happening. So that data needs to be imported, the one that is in memory, because they are using a lot and they are dicing and crossing and see everything. And we will show you these two approaches.
Okay, for the first approach, let's imagine that we have a report that we want mainly analyze the daily, the last data in near real time, but yeah, we want to check the information for the previous 4 years, and we already have information for the last 7 years that can change as well. So I will show you the report that will demonstrate this.
You need to change
Okay.
the presentation.
So
Technical issues.
no technical issues is expected.
It's a feature, not an issue.
Not an issue. So this is our report. In this case, we want to have the total played games for the last 4 years. You have here as well the total played games for the last 7 days, and you have a ranking for the 2 days today. But we don't have already information for today because no one played yet. So the idea is to show you. This is already connected to a hybrid model that we will rebuild with you to show you. But in this case, we have here the last played date is yesterday. So
we create a simple model that is simulating that someone is playing Dungeons and Dragons game. And with some rules, some strange rules, a score is being given to them from 0 to 100 after the game is ending. So we have 45 players playing the game for a long time. They have their score, and they did not start playing today because they are in the session in SQL bits, right? So they cannot do it. But in a couple of minutes, they will start doing it. I don't know, maybe they are bored. I don't know. So you are seeing the data that is incremental. What is in the back end of this model? We will start in a model with the direct query already, grabbing all the data. But it can be slower. We can face timeouts because a lot of data that we are bringing. So we need to change this direct query approach. Simple model, only 2 dimensions. a fact table, calendar, player, play the games, to the hybrid concept and to gain using that hybrid concept. So how we do this?
Yes. So, like Bruno said, we have here a model in direct query. You can see for the blue line that all the tables are in direct query. You can see as well in the tooltip that storage mode is direct query. So how can you do it? So we'll go to transform data. For what? We want to create two parameters that will allow us to put our table in incremental refresh. So for start, we'll create the new parameters. These parameters have specific names, so don't try to rename it like you wish, because this is very important for incremental refresh. Range starts, and then you have to choose date time as well. I will put here the current value, just the first year of my data is 2019, but you can choose the range of data that you want. I will choose only one day because it's more fast, because this is only for configuration of the incremental refresh in Power BI Desktop. All the magic and all the partitions will be created in Power BI service later. So I will.
You will see.
Yeah.
So in this approach, there is no hybrid table without incremental. So we need to start with incremental. So we need to help Power BI to decide how to split the partitions, how to split the data. And we need to be careful, and that is why I'm pointing, and this is by purpose, is case sensitive. So make sure the R is uppercase and the E is also uppercase. So Power BI is expecting these parameters in the backend, and as Marie explained, the values in there are dummy values only for the first apply the configuration.
So we have to have a date time column as well in our fact table, because we will apply the filters in this column, and if you don't have the same data type, this will not work. Okay.
Direct query will have problems with performance and making the translation of the queries to SQL. So they should be the same data type from the parameters and the column in the table.
Just a note, I will put after and equal to the range start and is before range end. I cannot put is before and equal to the range end, so we don't want to have two approaches for the same date, because the end date will be in direct query. So this is before, because we don't have our end date will be in direct query.
The last partition. That is something that by mistake can happen, but you can confirm afterwards, because you can check where a partition starts, when a partition ends, and if you put after and equal and then before and equal, you will be ending at the same day are you starting. So you are having a duplicate for the same day in two consecutive partitions, okay?
So,
but you will notice that if you make that mistake.
Yeah, for sure. You can see that this is still in direct query, so you have to change the storage mode for to import, okay?
And in here, we should say that if we started in import mode, we could not change back to direct query. So it's important to start everything in direct query, because you can change it to import mode. So we started in direct query to do that, and now we are, as Maria is showing, changing to import. But Power BI is showing us a warning and explaining a lot of things. And this is very important, what is he saying.
Yes, because we have two dimensions connected to this table, and this table basically are in import, and the dimensions are in direct query, and the Power BI is saying that maybe you want to change this to dual. The dual is a storage mode that will allow the Power BI itself choose between connect to the fact table in direct mode or in import mode.
And if you have a filter for calendar fields or player fields, because Power BI doesn't need to cross with the fact, it will use the import data there to show the values for the filter. It won't go to the source. It's not impacting the source. So Power BI will be clever to decide where to go depending on what the need it has. So we applied that, the imported mode and the dual for the dimensions.
So you can see in tooltip that the storage mode changed to dual, and all the line changed as well. All the icons change as well. This is automatic. So now you have to implement the incremental refresh in fact table. So
and you can see that on the left it changed. We have 3 icons, and we
yeah.
were in direct query. We have 2 icons, and you can see the data because the data right now lives inside the 3 tables because they are dual. So they have I'm saying a sample for the fact table, sample of data. For the dimension, the data is all there. Was everything imported.
I can show as well.
So the data is here right now. And that is the importance of the dummy value that we talk about range end and the range start is to this, because we applied and we have only one day to be fast because we are developing and we don't want to import a lot of data to desktop.
So to implement the incremental refresh is very easy. You have here a button to select the incremental refresh. Now you set this up. I will choose starting 4 years ago. So I will choose 4 and the aggregation years. I will put my incremental refresh for 7 days. So I will just select, and then I will choose this option, get the latest data in real time with direct query.
Yes, our scenario in here is assuming that the last years of data are data that is validated and static, and the last 7 days are not a final data because in some cases we are integrating in a data warehouse or a different place information that comes from different sources. They don't integrate the data at the same time. So sometimes during 7 days, some adjustments, some new data is coming to there. So it's important incremental to understand about after 7 days, we are not allowed to integrate any data in the data warehouse. That data should be final. But during that last 7 days, data can change. So that is important for this incremental. In some companies, it's not 7 days, it's 1 month that we should always refresh. But in our example, to be faster, is 7 days. And the direct query will assume the granularity that we decided for the incremental part. In this case, we don't control what we are defining in direct query. So if we say 7 days for incremental, direct query will be current day. If we say 3 months for incremental, direct query will say
1 month.
Current month. Okay, so we do not control. It's configured in here, in this approach.
Control because we choose the options.
We control because we choose, but we cannot change the granularity. Yes.
So I will apply.
Before apply, you can apply. But before apply, we have a change detection, and that change detection is important for incremental because we can reduce the time to refresh our partitions, only the incremental ones, if we have in our source, and we need it, a different column that is saving the date modified for that record. If we have some concept like that, we can only refresh, for example, from these 7 days. If we don't have in our example, but if we had a date modifier there, for the 7 days, we will refresh only the ones that date modifier would change. And that will be faster because we won't refresh 7 days, but only 2, for example, that change the data.
So in this case, we don't have a column for that?
Yes, we don't have. So we will refresh incremental all the 7 days.
So now we will publish this to our Power BI service, or before you want to say something else?
Can you go back to transform?
Okay.
I want to say something that we miss, again, by purpose, because we go forward and back. It's important when you do the filtering in the fact table.
Okay. This is important, yes.
Yes, this is important, and we should not forget. The source should let query folding.
Query folding.
Because we are applying the filters in Power Query. But it's important that Power BI can translate the query that we are doing to the source, in the language of the source. In our case, is SQL Server, okay? So you can see that in the last step is a SQL query. So Power BI is doing query folding, is sending a query to the source with the filter that you see for the parameters.
Yes, very important. Thank you, Bruno.
I was looking the notes. I'm a honest guy, so I will say what happened.
So
to
now
make sure that we don't forget anything. So continue.
we will publish this, right, through Tabular Editor, because we want to show you the partitions that the Power BI create in Power BI service. So for now, we will use this to deploy only the BIM model, or only the structure. We don't want to publish the data that we already import to our model. So
And we work a lot with Tabular Editor. We love it.
So this is already connected to our workspace.
We hope that we will not.
Yeah, I will put the.
Need, okay, we will need again to put the password.
Okay, so I will choose the name. This is demo, for example, demo SQL bits. I will do next. I will deploy the model structure, and I will do this. Okay, now in our workspace, we already have here our model. I will connect now with Management Studio to this model to show you the partition. Or you want to?
It can be Tabular Editor to be faster.
Okay.
It's the same.
It's the same. You can, if you want to connect to the partitions, I see the partitions of your model, you can use Tabular Editor or Management Studio. We'll show the two ways. I think is
they complement each other.
Yeah. So I will connect these to the workspace, Tabular Editor. So I'll choose the demo that I published, and in here we select the tables, and you can see that our table has only one partition right now, because that was the partition that we published, right?
Yes, because in desktop we applied metadata to the configuration of incremental and hybrid table, but we did not do anything. We deployed in Power BI service, but it has what we did in desktop, and the magic is not happening there. So we need to refresh the model once in Power BI service, so that configuration that we did can be implemented, can be constructed. So let's refresh the model.
Yeah, I will refresh the model, but we already have here one.
Yes, we have one model
already
we are
refreshed.
copying. Yes, we are copying the cooking sessions, like they are making the
cake.
Cake, but the cake is already made. So we have a model that is the same as we have right now, but was refreshed yesterday. So we will connect Tabular Editor there while the other one is refreshing, so you can see what will happen.
So using Management Studio, we connected as well to our workspace, and here you can see more details about the partitions, because in here we'll see the data, the date that our partitions were created. So in here we can select partitions. I select in here something, but I will close.
You did a new query, but you will close it.
So in here you can see that all our partitions are created at the same date and same time, because it was the first refresh of the model. And the last partition has no data, because this is direct query partition. Okay, so this will not have any data never, right?
It's stored in the model, no. So Power BI grouped the partitions to have less partitions as Power BI can have. Power BI tries to works with year, quarter, month, and day. Okay, so Power BI will try to group the partitions in like this, trying to reduce the number of the partitions to improve the performance of the model and the queries happening in the model. So we see that in the list, can you go back? We have until 2022, and
Grouped by
then
year?
because we are splitting 7 days, Power BI is letting the last month in days, because you cannot group March, right? But it could, and it did, group February and January, so it will be completely bound, okay? When we will go to March, April, it will group the March, but we won't have, and it will be done automatically. We don't need to do anything. We'll be in the refresh in the first day of April. The January, February, and March will be grouped as one quarter. So not 3 partitions, only one. And we'll work like this all the time. And the next year, 2019 will disappear, and we will appear a new partition, 2024. Okay?
Okay,
And
I will cancel.
this is amazing because this is done by Power BI in the service, and we did it once, and we will schedule the refresh, and we don't care anymore about this.
Okay, now just to demonstrate that this works, it's just not talk. We created already a few queries to insert some
Yes, but
some data.
can we go to tabular editor and connect to the model again? The model that is already refreshed, and right
Okay.
now we can connect to the demo. The demo
Yeah.
is another thing that can scare us. So let's connect to there and show that we are not lying, because this is not one that were made, it's one refreshed today. And we want to show you that the partitions have, and we cannot see that in Management Studio, correct me if I'm wrong, that partitions have different storage mode. The ones that we have as incremental, they say import. Okay, you can see it in here, but if we go to the last one, it's saying direct query. Okay, and it was not done by us, but it's in here. And you can see for all of them, and one thing that we want to share with you, you can see for all of them, go to the, for example, the January. You can see when it starts and when it ends, and you could check what I was saying about the day that is being repeated in both. Another thing that we need to be aware, and that can happen in some database. It should not, but I saw that a lot of customers, and a lot of times they don't know how to explain it. If we go to direct query, something that you should be aware is direct query is not for the current the current period that we did, like the current day, right? That's what we want. But Power BI needs to have it like that day and the future. So for some customers, for any reason, for some tables it makes sense. Things that are planned, it makes sense to have future dates. But sometimes it's not. It's those cases that I'm talking about. But it happens. But okay, they need to be aware that that future data that is something that doesn't make sense will appear in this direct query partition. Okay, be aware of that.
Okay, so you want to show the data in our report, and we run this. I will run all of this, right?
Yes, we will put lines in the database, and we will change different parts of the data. We will change the incremental part. We will change the historical part, that something happened, that we are putting data for 2022. That was already important in Power BI. But we are changing the database. 2022, we are changing for the last days also. And we are changing, we are putting as someone is playing today. So we will have data for 17.
So you want to refresh because we have information in imports. So we have to refresh this.
And we will check what happened, and we can go to the report check.
It's already refreshed, so
it's very fast because it's all incremental, 7 days of data.
Yeah, so For this, I will refresh
We
our
will,
visuals.
yes.
We can do auto refresh for this page, okay? But in this case, we won't refresh manually to show you this appearing in here. So we have more information in the last 7 days.
It changed.
You can see this, and the today ranking is appearing, and we have here our ranking for today. So now
But you can see that the historical did not change.
yeah,
But
it's
to
a bit difficult to see because
but
there are
we
big
will
numbers,
show.
but
We
we will
will go
show
to
in the
Management Studio.
partitions.
Yes. And we will show you the date that partitions refresh, and you'll see that we are not lying.
So even we add some information in 2022, this partition don't changed, okay? And in this case, we have the last 7 days changed now, and the direct query still not have data because this is a direct query and don't have any data.
So sometimes in our customers, they need to correct something in the database, so we need to do a full refresh. We need to apply something again. Or we can go partition by partition if we know what they adjust, when we can refresh any of these partitions separately, okay? Okay.
So any question before we move to the next demo?
Yes. We can go to Management Studio, and you can process only one partition. You can select blah blah blah. Let me.
This is not the best one.
You can choose what you want. Process full the part. It's not working. Process full, for example, this one only. I like to do it this way. Create the script and then run the script to see, and you have in here, and we can refresh. If we need to do a full refresh, we can also have this query for not the partition, but for all the model, and say that not respect the incremental. And so it will not refresh only the 7 days, but one partition one by one, and all of them. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, so.
No.
I don't want to touch in the PPT. No, please no.
Yeah.
Okay, so this will be a quicker demo, but only to show what a different way to create an hybrid table, a little more advanced approach. We will create two partitions, one in import and one in direct query, but as we said previously, it will be in the opposite way. So direct query to historical, import to the newest. And this is something that in our customers we need, because they always need all of the data, 10 years of data, but when we ask them when they use it is only a few times per year, but they need there. So
You want to go?
yes, I want to go to Power BI. To Power BI. I will start with the same model.
Yeah, we already have.
I'm not a friend of PPT. Okay.
These I will close.
No. I see. Yes.
Don't save.
Yes.
Okay.
We are showing. Let me close this. I will start with the same model in direct query.
You don't have
I know.
nothing.
Podes para partilhar então, por favor? Yes, thank you. This is quicker than the other one. So I'm starting with the same model, and I will
The direct query
Yes,
model.
3 tables in direct query. Always start from direct query before doing something. So I will go to tabular editor because I cannot use desktop to create this scenario. Okay, it's not by default that we can create this. And this is
Out of box.
out of the box. We need to do it manually, and we need to work with the structure of the model, the beam, and not desktop as the model inside the desktop, tabular editor or other tool to edit the beam file. So I connect to tabular editor. I will save the beam file, like this one that I had in here. So if I could not save it, blah blah blah, but it is right now. I can replace it. So I will close Power BI Desktop, so you know that I'm not working with that, and I will open to make sure that I'm working with the file.
You know, to read the model connected to the Power BI
Yes,
desktop.
so I have, yes. So I have my structure, and I have, as you know, one partition by default. That is this one, okay? So we are changing this partition and we are creating a new one. So as I said, I'm transparent. I will not hide anything. This is my notes, and I will create 2 partitions. One is played current year. This will be a partition that will be in import mode, the newest data. And this will be the query that I will explain what I'm doing, but about time to be fast, copy past. And then we will have a new partition that is played game last years. So everything that is historical to the back will be direct query, and a different M partition with this logic. The difference between them is these 3 is the base that we already had in the model that you can see in here. I don't know if I can increase. No, I cannot. No. But it's the same base that you are seeing in there. Is the approach to a simple select from server, database, and the table that I want, and the columns that I want. Again, query folding, okay? Because direct query needs to push back the queries to the source.
And inject the filters.
The simplest way possible, because Power BI is translating and the source may have trouble to respond. So the difference is we are selecting lines, we are filtering lines for the current year and looking at the date, and the date is in current year. That will be the newest data. And the other partition will be year date will be less than the current year. Okay, so everything historical. So let's do it.
Copy first.
Yes, let's use this one. Copy. And paste and change the name. We do the same thing in here. Okay. Let's change this.
No, this is already.
No, this is current year. Yes, yeah. Current year. Let's change the storage mode from direct query to import mode, and then create a new partition. Call it play the games last years. Last years, yes, and go there. Apply, and leave it in the storage mode as a direct query. Okay, save this model, and then I will publish this model deploy to the same workspace.
You have to put the password.
Password again. I think I missed one number. Yes. No. Not again. was going so well.
Too well.
Maybe. That explains a lot. Okay, that was happening before the session. Okay, need for control. Okay. So I will deploy not in the top of anything.
Yeah, demo B.
Demo B, for example. Deploy model structure, blah, 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 deploy. So as you said in the previous example, we don't have data. We are not deploying data. So if I go there and I try to build a report, I should not have the imported data there. But if I search something related to Power Query, thank you, I will see that data, right? So I go here, create report, thank you. And I can create two
Tables.
fast tables with here. Apply a filter. I want this one only to show.
Yeah, we have this data in calendar because this is import mode, okay?
23. And this one I will change the filter to be not this but less. So both one is the import one and the other is the direct query one. I will grab one measure, total games played, and I will grab to this table as well. So the first one that is imported doesn't have data, right? Because I didn't refresh the model. The other one went to the database and grabbed the data. So what I will do, I will save this. Demo B. I will refresh my model. It should be fast because it's only 2023. And if I go to my report and I refresh my page, I will get the data that is import. Okay, so it's there. It's a different approach. Now, what we are missing in our approach. I won't do it because of the time. I want to have time so we can have questions or discuss other things. But do you know what I'm missing to finish this approach? It's not a test. I was a teacher, so it's maybe something that I cannot help myself. I need to put someone in question. I started in the direct mode, direct query approach, and I changed to import that partition. I refreshed. But in the other example, we explained that for best performance and best Power BI to decide how to get data from different partitions, it should have the dimensions as dual. So in that case, I did not change it yet, but I could do it right now, connect to the tabular editor, go there, change it to dual. I should do this, like the other example as well. And then that's it, is a different approach. But this is the only thing that was missing. So this is the one detailed model and one quicker, but the different approach that we want to show you. So go back to the PPT so we can finalize the time. Start presentation. And in our summary, we had these 5 questions, the 5 W's questions, and I believe we answered them with our session. What are hybrid tables? Do you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, what are the hybrid tables? I think we were explicit. They are a combination between direct query in port mode within the same table. Then who is affected and who can benefit? We have here 2 answers, different answers, because we want to reflect that the sources are affected, okay, because we don't need that, we have to be, the data source be prepared to deal with these 2 approaches, okay. Not all the types of data source will work.
Yes, we'll work well with the direct query approach because they need to respond.
Yeah, for sure. but they are beneficiated as well because the refreshes will bring less data and will take less time. So, but who can affect and benefit as well are the business users, because the business users in one report can analyze all these historical data and have a near real time as well. And developers don't need to duplicate the work in and have two data sets, for example, or two different data tables in the same with same structure in the same model, for example. So
Yes.
I think that's it. Where is this taking place? All of this is working in Power BI Desktop or in Tabular Editor, like you saw. But I think it's important to say that this only works in premium capacity. Okay, your workspace has to be with a premium capacity of your tenant or from your premium per user license. So this is very important. When this makes sense, the two scenarios that we show, I think, are very explicit. We have two different approaches. The direct query for the historical data when we don't have many need. We
No
don't
need every
need
day.
every day
No, doesn't need to be fast.
to be fast, or when we want to bring all the data and only the current data or the current month have this near real time. And then why this is important, we can handle with real time, we reduce the refreshes, and as well improve performance. Okay, so for finalizing, this our considerations and limitation is a resume that we already talk.
Yes. Clarify that Incremental is available in Pro, but as we put hybrid with direct query partition, Premium. Okay, that is the last option that will be only available. And I believe we have this sentence in the slide because we will share the slides, and sometimes we want only to remember what we saw, and the slides will help. But I think we talk about everything that is here. As we have one partition in direct query, it's important to know that we should have the best practice developing a model with hybrid table that we already had for direct query. So no complication measure, no complex measures, no
Calculated columns.
calculated columns, no calculated tables, no SQL very complex in the query base, even doing query folding. So be aware of those things. And questions, I believe we have 2 minutes, right? So almost there. So if you have any questions.
But like we said, we are
We are
upstairs.
here, yes, we are here.
So let's talk about hybrid tables and other topics.
If there are no questions, thank you so much.